Rogerson from the SR Academy here in Scottsdale, Arizona. Nice to see you. I'd like to introduce Colton. Colton is one of my students here in the SR Academy, and he's going to be taking questions. And if you would like to send me any messages or ask me anything, please feel free to, and Colton will share them with me rather. So this morning what I'm doing is my model Jaden has so much hair, and I know that we all have clients like this. She has a really great amount of hair, a thick density. So what I'm doing is I'm really using the idea of disconnection to create some space, to remove some weight, and to create some texture. So what I've done is I've just put a little triangle in the top. My triangle comes underneath the swirl of her crown, so I can encompass the crown difficulties later on and disconnect that top area. She also has a lot of density in the back, so I have sectioned off, and I've sectioned off in a specific place. It's just above the occipital bone, and the reason that I've done that is so that I can take some weight out from the protrusion of the occipital bone. Her occipital bone is very prominent, so I went above, and now I'm working in an angle, I'm working in a layer, and the angle of the layer is going to allow me to collapse this hair. This hair on the top is then going to fall over and disconnect. So this is generally referred to as panel layering, and this is extremely useful when you are working with people with denser hair, thicker hair, curly hair. I use it a lot on wavy and curly hair because I like to create some space between the layers, and I like to also remove some density without necessarily just relying on freehand at the end. So I've removed some weight because of the angle, because of this angle through here. When this hair falls down, it will collapse. If my angle comes out and I did a flat layer, for example, when this hair comes over it, it will make it stick out and push out. So I actually went above the occipital bone on purpose to remove more density and weight over the protrusion of the occipital bone. So I'm working with a layer. I'm actually allowing my fingers to come out on purpose because I'm quite into raw, loose edges at the moment. But who knows what I want to do. I might decide to keep the outline raw and free. I might also decide to put in a strong outline later on. So I like to keep options. You can see this side, and you can see this side that I haven't done yet. So each section is coming back to the previous section. Because of the nature of the angle is very extreme. So I am working palm to palm. If this hair was longer, I would probably work over my fingers, but because the hair is shorter, the palm to palm is helping me better, making sure I'm tilting my fingertips in and bringing my knuckle up. So it's this action through here. The palm of my hand is coming up and my fingertip is going in. My guide is from the previous section. Make sure you can see your guideline. And I'm cutting top, middle, bottom, bringing the fingers out at the ends of the hair to leave some fringe and decide my outlines later. So good morning, everyone. It might be afternoon or evening, wherever you are. But hello to everyone. Again, my name is Sally Rogerson. I have a company called SR Education, and we specialize in advanced training and teacher training. But I also have an academy here in Scottsdale and that's where we are now at the SR Academy. And we actually teach a cosmetology license. We teach the 1,000 hour license in Arizona, which is hair only. So it's like cosmetology, but without the nails and the skin. So that's where we are now. My wonderful students are on week 13, and they're doing full head foils today. So it's been an amazing morning already. I hope you're all having a great day as well. When I cross-check this, I'm going to lift up and lift up high to clean it. I have to lift it up high because my angle is that way, short to long. So I have to lift up. If I cross-check it like this, I'll be coming down and I'll be making marks on the hair. How's everyone doing, Colton?
Everyone's doing well. We have lots of friends from all over the world, it looks like. We have some people in New York. I think I saw Cape Town, South Africa.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't wait till we can travel again, everyone. That would be amazing to get out there and see the world again, but...
We had a question from
Yes.
Diane McKee. She wants to know what length it is at the occipital.
Oh, very nice question. Thank you, Diane. The length of it is here. I don't know, what's that? An inch and a half?
Yeah, it's like that.
I work in centimeters, so like an inch and a half. Now, to be honest with you, to be able to get and to be able to decide the length that you are going to cut it, you have to kind of work with the hair. So sometimes I'll do a test length and I'll go like here. Now, if the hair still puffs out, you know that when you lay this hair down over the top, if this hair is puffing out, it's going to make it stick out more. And my attempt on this haircut is to slim the hair down and to create more of a flatness there, ready for this to be able to fall over the top. I'll show you what I mean now. But I do this haircut longer. I do this on long hair all day long, and I do it a lot longer. So you'll choose your length yourself, depending on your end result choice. I have to say to you though that guide underneath is not your end result on the surface. This panel here, panel 2, is now going to be cut at a different length, and it's going to lay down over the top. So let's talk about that.
We have one question,
Yes.
Sally. They're wanting to know, they missed the beginning, they're wanting to know the difference between palm up cutting compared to over fingers.
Very good. So let's just, a great question. So sometimes I'll cut palm to palm, which basically means my palm faces my palm. Sometimes I'll cut over my fingers. In general, in the SR education program, then palm to palm cutting we normally use with graduation and a line because it generally makes your hands come down. Normally I would layer over my fingers because when you cut over your fingers you lift hair up, and layering essentially removes weight. So in this case, because of the angle and because of the length of the hair, I'm cutting it palm to palm. Normally with my SR rules I would be cutting it over the fingers, but the head gets in the way, so I can't get in there. So an advanced cutting technique in disconnection is to be able to just change your fingers depending on what your needs are. Great question, thank you so much. I hope that answered it for you. I would consider this going more into salon creative work. And with salon creative work, your classic hand and body position rules don't always apply. So let's talk about that now. Can't find my wrist. Okay, sorry guys. All right, so I'm now actually gonna go over my fingers on purpose. So I'll show you my second panel. So my second panel here is going to be longer and it's going to fall over my first panel. Ultimately, the difference between this hair here in the short hair and this hair here in the second area, the length that you choose for this to be disconnected by The more extreme, the further apart it is, the more obvious the end result is going to be. It's as simple as that. So if I want this to blend in and be quite salon friendly, I'm going to choose a length that falls down what we call inside of the haircut. So if I choose something that falls below this length, but in the middle here, but it's still falling inside and not on the outside, then it's going to be more easy to wear and it's going to be more commercial. So generally we tend to do that a bit more with our salon work. If you go more extreme and your length stays completely longer, then it's going to look more extreme, it's harder to wear, and you're only going to have certain clients that are going to want to do that. So let's talk about the length. I'm going to have it fall in here. Also the angle. So I can go to here. That would create, again, that short to long collapsible angle. If I come out to here like a flat layer, when it falls down, it will poof out and you might get like a ledge. So my angle needs to blend in. If you want it extreme, then you could go over the top and go short to long. So really you're thinking, who is this client? What do I want to achieve for them? What's their general look? So I'm going to do that, lay that hair over the top, and then I can start to see how it's going to be. You can see I have a big disconnection. I've left that quite big because I'm going to see how the hair is. It's that coarse, strong hair, so I have to kind of talk to it and help it along a little bit. I put a touch of leave-in conditioner in as well, which is by Formula 18. That will soften the hair. Now I'm going to go back to the previous section, find my angle, and you can see now I'm cutting over my fingers, which is what, you know, I really wanted to do in the first place, in the lower area, but I couldn't get my hands in because the hair was too short.
Hi, Stephen. Stephen Fatland.
Oh, cool. Hi, Stephen. Hi, anyone that's joined in. I know you're all busy, working hard, so I appreciate you. If you're watching this afterwards, then thank you for joining us as well. This is a salon disconnected haircut. I would refer to this as panel layering. Panel layering to me is an opportunity to create texture, to remove weight and density, and allow you to get a slimmer, more textured feeling. You can see how that's blending in a little bit more now in the bottom, and you know, you've just got to kind of work with the texture and see what's going on. I'm walking around and I'm now going back to the previous with vertical sections. So I'm taking enough hair to see my guideline, but I'm also making sure that I'm traveling. Working the hair as I go along, seeing how it's laying in through there. My glasses are steaming up. I'm sure you all have the same issues.
We have a couple of people asking why you're using vertical sectioning instead of pivoting.
Very good. So great question. Why am I using vertical sections instead of pivoting? Vertical sections remove weight, and I want to remove weight all the way around here because this is the densest, thickest area that she has. If I pivot through there, I'm going to be pushing the hair in the direction of the section, so it will start to push it forward quickly, which I don't want. I want it to fall down, so the hair is falling straight down, which makes this slimmer. But yeah, you can pivot if you want to. I would pivot if I had finer hair. Vertical sections remove weight, so I want the most weight removal possible because she has that density. Great question, thank you. If there is any more, you're welcome to ask me. I'm just going through. So this is my second panel. I have my length still through here, and you can see I still have my disconnection through there. This is just the raw shape. I'll freehand into it, I'll work into it more. I just want to get the hair off to start with. Now we get to the mastoid process, and what you're thinking to yourself is, do I need to bring this hair back? Am I trying to leave weight or length at that front area? So this is my decision now. How much over direction am I going to use? For me, I want shorter hair. I don't mind having some outline length to play around with afterwards, but I am not going to over direct a lot. I'm going to continue through with vertical sections, and I'm going to allow the natural hairline to come through.
We have a question about your guide. She wants to know if you're using a traveling guide.
Yes, traveling guide. Everything goes back to the previous. So 3 goes back to 2, 4 goes back to 3, 5 goes back to 4, and that's what we would refer to as a traveling guide. So it's moving forwards. My feet are also moving forwards. So I'm not moving over the camera, but I'm moving my weight forwards. I don't want to over direct right back to behind the ear. It will be too much weight. I want to come back to the previous section only. So that is what we would refer to as a traveling guide. Great question. Thank you for your question. You could have no over direction as well. Obviously, we're seeing a lot of really cool fashion mullets and shags and stuff. So if you wanted to go more extreme, you could just bring the hair out from its natural position, which would be called on base, right? It sounds like I'm going to start fencing or something. On base. On the base.
Stephen Statman said the place looks great.
Oh, thank you, Stephen. I appreciate it. This is our small boutique academy in Scottsdale. We only take 6 students in our classes. So it's amazing how well they do when you have so much attention in a cosmetology program. And obviously I'm really enjoying it. This is my dream. I've been trying to get to this point in my career for a number of years. We just got open in July. Hope to see you soon, Stephen, when it's all good for you to come. We have a lot of classes still. We're still doing advanced classes, teacher training, we do foundation, creative we've got coming up in December. We do have people traveling. We're very careful about being safe and looking after everyone.
6 week.
Yes, we have the 6 weeks starting as well. So if you feel like you need 6 weeks of hair cutting, maybe you're a colorist, or maybe you're just getting back into it, or you just left school. That starts on November the 1st and 2nd. People come to us for 6 weeks from all over the place. Beautiful weather right now. I'm really selling it now, aren't I? All right, other side, other side. I'm going to turn my body position around. Whenever I can turn my body position around, I do. Sometimes it's not possible. If the angle is super extreme, then I can't. I'm still going to go over my fingers, and I'm mimicking the angle from the other side. So this side, you can see I'm actually going bottom up, but if you prefer, then of course you could still work top down if the angle was too extreme for you to get that in your fingers.
We have a new person who joined who's asking again why you do the panel section.
Yes, very good. So why did I do the panel sections? I've split this head into 3 panels. I've got the underneath area, which you can see under here. And then this is my second panel. This is my top panel. This is for a client. I'm going to go to the other side because it's easier for the camera angle, guys. So I'm going to stay here so I can still keep showing you my angle. What was the question, Colton? Sorry.
The panels.
Oh yes, sorry. The panels are split into 3 so that we can disconnect. So this demonstration is about disconnection. When to use disconnection, what is disconnection? Let's talk about that as well. But these 3 panels allow me to create different lengths within a haircut. This will allow me to remove weight and also create texture and create in a negative space basically. This hair here has been removed, this hair falls over the top. We're looking for it to just fall in quite seamlessly. That's our intention. If you have a more extreme client or you want to do something that looks more extreme, then you can disconnect way more than this. I'm doing what I would refer to as more of a salon disconnection, where everything falls inside the haircut. So the panels are so that I can create different lengths in different areas with the hope that visually it will all blend in at the end. This is something we cover a lot in our creative class. But disconnection basically means an area that does not connect through the use of a guideline. Classic haircuts generally all connect. More creative and salon advanced haircuts, you can start to add disconnection. We think of disconnection as being our 4th technique. So line, graduation and layering. Our 4th technique is disconnection, and this allows you to play in a creative way, but still precision. So this haircut, because I'm still cutting it with precision, even though I'm removing weight, it will still grow out really well and have all the properties of a classic haircut. I'm just cutting it differently.
We have a couple new questions.
Yes.
And we have one from Tracy that says, what is meant by inside the haircut?
Okay, great. Great question. What is meant by inside the haircut? So when this disconnection here falls down, it falls still inside of the haircut. It doesn't fall over the outline. So when the disconnections fall in the inside of the haircut and they don't fall over the outline, they are still very easy to wear because they blend in and still look very commercial, and you're not left with some crazy weird long pieces hanging over, which I don't mind, but you know, the lady at the bank might just think you've lost your mind and you've forgotten how to cut those bits of hair. Do you know what I mean? So if you put disconnection on the wrong client, sometimes they won't get it, and also they might just think you've made a mistake. So you've got to make the right fit for the client. If I'm using disconnection that falls over the top of the outline, I will see it more, and that's when you'll have more extreme disconnection, which again, you've got to put on the right person. What was the other question, Colton?
The other question is, could you do this haircut with fingertips out to inward?
Yes, great question. Could you do your fingertips out to inward? You can, but the angle is very awkward. I do normally do it. I'll stand here and show you. I'm standing on the other side so that we can film better. So yes, you can go this way. But remember, when you come in here, you're going to cut into your length more. So just be careful when you come in that way. So sometimes if I've got an angle like that, I prefer to be here, because if I decide I want more length in my outline, I just lift my knuckle up. So I have more choice going this way. But yes, of course you can do it the other way. But in my experience, people tend to cut some of that length off and make mistakes. Depends on how extreme your angle is.
We have one more question that just came in. They're wanting to know if this cut only works on thick hair. Could you do it on thin hair? How does it lay?
Great question. Would it work on thin hair? Does it only work on thick hair? My experience, I prefer to do it on medium density to thick density. It works on all textures. I use this all day long on curly hair. It's really good on clients that have multi-textured hair as well. And I do it on very long hair. To me personally, I don't really do it on fine hair, because the whole point of this haircut is to remove density and a lot of weight. which generally a finer client doesn't want. I would still do this, but I would do it with 2 panels instead of 3. Right, the 3 panels is going to take more weight out. I even do this haircut with up to like 10 panels. Do you know what I mean? So if I've got someone with the hair of 10 men, I can do it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know, I can do it all the way up to create mini little loose disconnections. So that works really good as well. Just going to do a little cross-checking. How's everyone doing out there? Thank you all for joining us today. If I've met you before, then hello. My name is Sally Rogerson, and I have a company called SR Education. I used to be a senior creative director for Vidal Sassoon in the academy in LA, so I might have met some of you there. I now am here in Scottsdale, Arizona, and this is our academy that we work out from. It's just a small boutique academy. We do a lot of photography and video here as well. So come visit with us whenever you feel comfortable. All right, so I'm taking down this top area now. So just to recap, if you've just joined, 3 panels of layering. First panel went up to, you can see it, it went to above the occipital bone. First panel. I went on a layer that collapsed, so it was shorter on the interior, longer on the exterior. Then I left my next panel down, and I did the same thing but with a new guideline. So you can see my disconnection now between here and here. So that lays down, and the idea of this haircut to me is to try and make this disconnection area quite seamless. Not to be obvious, but you can do it more obviously if you want to. Now I'm putting down my triangle. So many ways you can cut this. You can come through short to long, you can channel it, you can do a fringe, you know, I mean there's a million things you can do on the top area. What I'm going to do here is actually work with some channels and work short to long. I'm also going to look at the hair and see which way it falls best. So this way you can see has a strong spring. This way kind of falls a little bit better. You can also look if there's a strong parting or anything like that. So what I'm going to do here is go through with some sections that will pivot from this point. So I'm going to pivot from the crown area here. So I'll be pivoting around. And just very, very simply working on some nice channeling. The reason I'm going to work on channeling on the top is because we still have another thick, dense amount of hair. She has great hair to work with. So I'm actually going to channel it. Let's talk about what channeling is and what it means. Channeling, you know, came through originally in the 70s in more of a veil technique, and then became very popular in more of the 80s. And it's basically where I take one section of hair and cut it maybe shorter, then the next one is longer, the next one is shorter. I can play around with different angles, I can leave some out. It's a technical, precision way of removing weight. So here I go, this is my first one. My guide is here from the crown. I'm not going to connect to the sides, and I'm just making this up. I'm just going from shorter to longer. How long I go in the front is dependent on how much length I want to keep for the client. So you're designing that, that's up to you. I'm doing this in the air as a layer because I want to remove weight. So that's my first section. It falls over the top of the sides. And then my next section, I'm going to leave out. So I'm going to take a very thin section through here. And Cassie, I got a bit excited, chopped myself. Can you get me a Band-Aid? Thanks. So my second section, I'm going to leave out. So the first section, I cut from short to long from the crown. This is my second section, and I'm going to just leave that out and put a clip in it through there. My third section, I'm going to cut. So I'm going to cut every other section, pivoting around, and then my next section, I can start changing the length and also the angles if I want to. So this is my third section. Number 1 I cut, number 2 I didn't cut. This is number 3. I don't need to get my guideline from my first one because I'm just playing with it. I'm just designing as I go along. My connection point is from the crown, so I know as long as I connect to that crown, it doesn't matter if this angle is slightly different. It doesn't matter if this length is slightly different. I want a textured look. That is my fourth section. I'm going to move it out of the way and leave it out. So I'm not going to cut that one. So number 1 was cut, number 2 was not, number 3 was cut, number 4 was not. I'm on number 5 now. Again, my guide, as it were, is from the crown. And I'm going to cut from short to long. And go from there. The pieces that I've left out and haven't cut, I'm going to be cutting as if I was cross-checking it afterwards.
Christopher Salome says hi.
Oh, hi. Wow, there's some great people on here today. So that's my next one. I've forgotten what number that is.
That was 5.
Okay, so that was 5. Number 5, I haven't cut. Now I'm on number 6. So I'll turn around so you guys can see it. This is my guide from my crown. You've got to keep recombing. It's a lot of hair to deal with. So keep recombing and getting higher. So,
George Gabrielle says, nice seeing you, Sally.
oh, hi. Is that Jorge?
Hi, yeah.
Oh, so nice to hear that voice. Not that voice, but that name. Hope to see you soon. One of my first customers when I left Sassoon came to one of my very first SR education classes. That's about 7 years ago. So thank you to everyone who has ever come to either our classes or our hair show as well. We have a hair show called Thrive. So I appreciate all of you. Now I'm going to take this clip out and I'm going to show you where I'm at. So now I have this kind of really nice grown out textured look through here. The hair that hasn't been cut at all, I'm now going to come back through and go almost as if you were cross-checking it, right? I'm going to take horizontal diagonal sections across the top, bring this hair up. Now you're going to see the short hair, and these are the longer hairs that have not been cut at all. So now I'm going to take that to a new length and cut that short to long.
We have a question about your elevation when you were doing the channeling.
Yes.
That's from Oscar Valencia. He wants to know if you're straight up 90 degrees from your
Yes.
section.
Yeah, you don't need to over-direct it because you want to just keep it on the section because it has no relationship to anything else. It's just a freestanding, alone section. But yes, great question. Thank you. And channels can be done in so many ways. They can be done vertically, diagonal, horizontal, curly hair, straight hair. You can really go to town with them. They're a great way to add texture by still working in a precision manner. I love soft haircuts. I'm not all about it being super, super angular. I mean, I like that too, but I do like really soft haircuts. But my fascination is to create softer haircuts with precision cutting so that it still grows out the same. I definitely do freehand, but I like the challenge of doing soft hair in more precision manner.
Jorge said he cannot wait for you to bring Thrive back to Vegas.
Oh my God, yeah, let's do Thrive again. I was just talking about it with Julia, one of my students. And the last Thrive that we had was here actually in downtown Phoenix in January. We just got it in before we all got to lock down, right? So it was so much fun. It was just such a great community spirit. We had so many great artists there. I was thinking about trying to do one next year, just a small version. We'll see.
Oscar Valencia asked if you were over-directing in the previous part.
In the top part.
Mm-hmm.
Great question. My top area, I went horizontal diagonal on the sections, and then I ignored my first guideline from my vertical ones, and I went past it, I went short to long, and then I did over-direct it back a little bit because I wanted to keep some length through here. I am going to, do some freehand and stuff through here, so I wanted to leave some length. But you can, not over-direct if you want to remove more weight. Okay, she's looking good. I want this to look a bit grungy. We did a little bit of color in here. I did some, I just did some pieces. I just picked up some pieces, bleached them out. And I'm just really into this kind of, a slightly washed out looking kind of color at the minute, just faded. I'm into like homegrown kind of color. So, we put a little bit of a pale blue on there. There's a little bit of pink in there, but it's just very grungy and grown out.
We have a question from Manuel Luna. He says, does channeling make it more versatile to style?
So does channeling make it more versatile to style? It does in a way because it removes some weight and density. So yes, it definitely does. It means that you can play around with it a lot. Because I've got all these different layers in here, I'll show you when I lift it up. You can really play around a lot with the styling. So for example, she could kind of dress this out and have a lot of texture and pieciness. It looks really good back as well. You can tuck it behind the ear. You get all of this amazing texture. It can be one side to side. You still have to think about that short hair pushes long hair. So that's the big key, I would say, to this, is that short hair pushes long hair, and then so therefore you have to think about what direction you're putting it in. So I'm actually using Professional by Fama, who's an amazing Italian company I work with. This is a primer, nourishing mousse. So it's a bit like a leave-in conditioner, but more of a mousse. I want more of a dry, kind of grungy texture to it, so that's why I'm just kind of applying it with my hands a little bit rawer. And then I'll put some more product in there to kind of take some of the frizz out.
We have a couple of questions. We have one from Christopher. He wants to know if it matters where her part is.
Very good question. The way that I cut it, it doesn't. And also I've kind of looked at how I'm going to style it and how she styles it. If you were doing it from a parting, so if somebody wore their hair from a parting, then instead of doing that triangle just pivoting, I would have put my first section in over the parting, and then I would have over-directed everything to that parting. Great question. Thank you, everyone. I'm putting in a little bit of the Creator Modeling Fluid. Again, this is a Professional by Fama product. So I'm putting this in over the top, and then to me, the biggest thing is to always comb your products through so you can seal the cuticle and get a really nice finish on there.
We have one more question. What do you do when your client comes back to have their style trim up?
What do I do on my day off? So he said, No?
Well, it's easy when your client comes back to have their style
Okay,
trimmed
this
up.
is the age-old question. It's a very important question, and thank you guys for asking it. What do you do with this haircut when a client comes back, especially if you want to replicate it? People get really worried about disconnection, and they're like, how will I ever be able to get that back again? It is so easy when you work with disconnection if you do it in a planned, organized manner with organized sections, because all you do is you simply lift the hair up. So what I'll do here is, okay, I want to take the same section that I made, like I'm doing a ponytail, right? So all I do is just pick that hair up in my hands, shake it out, and then it shows me the section. So I just put my section back in really easily, just by shaking that hair out, and then bang, I've got my top section back in. Do the same thing here, just pick it up this way, and you can see easily I can just put my sections back in. So just imagine that you were doing a ponytail and you were just picking the hair up and just shake that hair that's shorter underneath out, and then you just find your sections again. If you're disconnecting in a haphazard way, and what that means is, to me, a haphazard way of haircutting is sometimes fun, right? Sometimes I just want to see where it's going, I just want to see what's going to happen, let's see how this hair turns out. That's fun at the time, but it's extremely difficult to replicate afterwards. So
We have a couple more questions.
being organized is the key thing. I just messed up my section, hold on. Okay,
We have one from Manuel. He wants to know if the disconnection in the back is personal preference or...
yeah, of course, yeah. Some people never disconnect hair. Some people don't agree with disconnecting hair. Some people don't like it at all. So nothing wrong with that, right? I mean, there's, what do they say? There's a lid for every pot. If you don't like disconnecting hair, you don't do it. If you like to work with a razor, you do that. I love working with a razor. I enjoy and encourage and appreciate all ways of cutting hair. I think there's no right or wrong. If you want to cut it with an axe or a flamethrower, that's on you. You do what you want. This is what I do. I prefer a more organized disconnection. If I had someone with finer hair or was doing something more classic, I might not disconnect at all. Disconnection is good in a more creative outlet and also to remove weight. Very good question. Thank you so much. What were the other ones? I'm going to just dry really quickly. I'm going to dry the underneath real fast.
The last one that we had was from someone who joined a little bit late. They wanted you to recap your technique.
Okay. So, thank you for joining. For anyone that's joined late, we're doing 3 panels of layering. My underneath through here is shorter. My second panel is here. We've disconnected it and it's falling over the top. And then my top area is a triangle and we channeled it. I'm just going to dry this underneath first and start to freehand it. Then I'll do my top, okay? So I'm going to turn my dryer on. I'll be as quick as I can. I'm just using my SR Education. This is YS Park. I love this comb. I blow dry with it quite often if I want to keep the density down. If I put a brush in, it's going to poof out. So I like to do it with my fingers or a comb. Okay, so now I'm going to go through and start to freehand all of this underneath before I go into the top area. You could dry it all though if you wanted to, no big deal, whatever you feel like is the right thing for you. I'm going to go through and just start to point into the hair and also work with some freehand on the outline. I'm super into things being a bit more raw at the moment, but if I look at this from the profile, you can see it's too wide. I want to bring out the eye and also the cheekbone, so I'm going to start to take some hair away from that front area to start with. This will make that smaller and also open up that cheekbone. All we've got to show right now is our eyes, the top of our cheekbones, so we can't be covering them up, right? Because that's everything.
Right.
I'm going to come through now and just start to use the tips of my scissors and take a little bit of this density out using a slicing technique. And I'm just opening and closing my scissors very, 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 very small amounts. So it's like I'm stroking the hair. Make sure nobody who's very excitable is going past you or bumps you. You need like the hair caution tape on around you when you're in the salon doing this.
We have some people in the comments that are talking about how this would look great as a mullet as well.
Yes, 100%. You could leave this back area a lot longer, and this is a technique that I would 100% use for a mullet or a very short shag, you know, that kind of thing. It's good for clients, you know, with really thick hair that want that mullet, but if it's all fully connected, it looks too much like a real mullet. This gives you an opportunity to slim it down. So I'm going to work around the mask as well, obviously. I'm going to remove a little bit of this weight. I like to see how the hair falls around the ear, so you can see how that splits naturally. So look at that, and then I'm just going to go in and slice out, take out a little bit of density through there. So I'm pushing that hair forward and just stopping it from clumping together. Just trying to slim it out. I'm just touching it, seeing where it breaks naturally and working with it. Sometimes I'll even cut some short little bits in there so it pushes it around a bit more. Now again, I kind of like this fringy stuff at the bottom, but I can go in and adjust it. So I can keep it all soft and piecey and loose, but also, you know, I can bang in a really hard, clean outline, which may yet happen. We'll see how I feel as we go along. But it's, you know, choice, isn't it, right? It's up to you. So again, I'm just going to stroke the surface of that hair with my tips of my scissors. All this does is just softens it a little bit, stops it being so solid. I'm trying to blend that in. This is completely disconnected. This has a huge disconnection on it through here. So my short hair is there, right? But my intention is to stop it from looking really visually disconnected. And that's why this works sometimes on clients with dense hair, because maybe the client wouldn't normally have a disconnection, but if you can make it look like it's blending in, then you can use the disconnection to solve their problems, and maybe their problem is too much density. But you can see I'm still keeping my cutting lines. I'm just pointing in, slimming it down, taking some of that weight out. There's a lot of hair coming out of here, but she still has a lot of hair still. This angle that you're seeing here is my cutting angle from my middle panel. I'm really into this kind of strawberry color. We actually worked with her natural color, and then we also worked with Professional by Fama Lightener, which is an amazing color line from Italy that I work with. And then I also put like a pink toned semi-permanent over her natural color. So all we did is bring out that strawberry blonde kind of quality. Sometimes I really like having natural hair in the mix. We don't have to color all of the hair, And for those of you that know me, you know me as a cutter more than anything, but I love color. So been doing a lot of color recently. I'm very excited about it.
Daniel Maltoni said at the end of COVID, they'll give us an Oscar for cutting hair with the mask.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've got to be honest, I know masks are a pain and all of that kind of stuff, but you know, I used to go to Japan a lot, and I used to travel a lot and teach in Japan a lot, and you know, I've always just really respected the way that people wear masks to, you know, respect others, and that's always been something I admired, so it doesn't really bother me that much. You definitely have to shout. I think at the end of all of this, we'll all just be shouting at each other, because that's how we have to be right now, but I'm kind of loud anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. I don't know if I'm taking this mask off, Colton, to be honest. I've got to be totally honest with you. I'm quite into the idea of keeping my germs to myself and you keep your germs to yourself. Especially on a plane. I used to fly every single weekend for years, doing classes all over the country. And it seems crazy to me now to be traveling that much.
Maria says she loves this cut.
Oh, thank you, Maria. I appreciate that. I shouldn't have said that because I've got a lot of requests for in-salon seminars recently. Yeah, I'm not so interested in flying everywhere, I've got to be honest. I'll drive. If you're close enough to me to drive, I'll come there. I'll come to your salon. So it's up to you what you do with the outlines. Like I said before, everyone has their own feel, everyone has their own vibe, but that's up to you. You know, I'm not ever teaching people to just be mini-me's, mini versions of what I do. I just teach people how to cut hair, and you do what you want with it. I think it's important to have your own style. You don't always just have to follow what everybody else is doing. You can get your iPhone, get some models together, and do a photo shoot, you know? You can lead the pack.
Tom Harness says great technique.
Thank you very much, Tom. So with your outlines, it's important to not end up making them all too perfect. I think keeping a raw edge to it is the key thing, which sometimes can be difficult for us because we keep going back for more, and before we know it, we've got like a line in it. All right, so you can see now all of that cool texture that's in there, which I really love. I love that editorial kind of messed up kind of texture quality in there. You can see all of my little bits and pieces coming through now. See all of that texture come in. You can see the color working. Now I'm going to put the top area down. I'm going to dry this with a bit more of a wrap dry, just so that you guys can see what I'm doing and then do my finishing. So again, I apologize for not talking for a minute. I'm sure you're happy to have a bit of quiet for a second. I'm going to put in the same products as I did on the side. These are by Professional by Feather. This one is really nice. It gives me quite a dry feeling. That's the primer. It's like a dry leave-in conditioner. And then I'm doing the Creator. I use this on all of my blow dries, to be honest. Put that over, then I'm going to comb it through. I think that's the most important thing when you're drying hair that has a tendency to be a little bit frizzy. You have to be super careful to seal that cuticle, comb it through, and then I'm going to just do a quick wrap dry on the top. I might even iron it, we'll see where we get to. I haven't finished yet. I'm just going to use my SR Education vest brush. check what that iron's on for me, please? 400 is fine.
Cassie Smith says she likes the haircut. She loves it.
Well, thank you, Cassie. I'm going to go through with an iron really quickly, and then we're going to do all of our finishing work. Super shiny from those products. Again, obviously it's not finished. Often I'll put some texture back into it afterwards, but for you guys to be able to see my technique, I'm just going to do a little iron.
We have another question about density and suitability with this haircut.
Yeah.
He just wants to know if this is a haircut that would work on someone with fine hair.
No, absolutely. For me, not. I would not do this kind of haircut on fine hair. It'll end up looking a bit too stringy. And this haircut is like an ultimate weight removal. So if you do this on fine hair, you're going to probably take too much weight out, in my opinion. Also, even sometimes really high lift blonde hair, even if it's thick, if you've got a bleach and toner on it or something, sometimes that can not look good because it can look a bit thin. So it still looks a little dense and bulky, you know, that's just where we're at in the haircut. I've got my initial shape in. Now I'm going to do my finishing work. Okay, so I'm just going to go into some slicing, and I'm going to do what I would refer to as more directional slicing. So directional slicing to me is all about as if you were, whatever you're doing with your section is the same as the direction of your scissors. So for example, if I was going with diagonal sections here, then the hair would push in the direction of the section. So it's the same concept with my slicing. If I want the hair to push across this way, then I need to be opening and closing my scissors and pushing diagonally with my scissors across in that direction to allow me to push that hair across to the side, but also lighten it and loosen it. If you don't want to go on the skin as well, then you can lift the hair up. The more you lift the hair up, the more weight you're going to remove, just like as if you were layering. The more you keep the hair down, the more weight you're going to keep. So, it's just the same as if you were doing precision hair cutting. I'm also going to point very randomly into this top area. I like the idea and the concept of it being a bit more random. Just the ends need softening because the hair is blonde, so it goes a bit sharp on the edges. So I hope you guys are enjoying it. There's a lot of different channels in here, and now it's really just a case of bringing it all together. From the side, you can see how it's laying over the top. Doesn't look really disconnected, it just looks nice and textured. So it's really just a case of deciding, do I want this piece here or not? I'm going to open it up a little bit more. I'm so sorry, Jaden, you're covered in hair. It must be driving you mad. You're doing such a good job. So sometimes I'll keep this length. I've got short underneath. I've got long over the top. This allows her to cover, but also she can open up by putting her hair behind the ear. So you can see it has big disconnections on it, but because of the hair color and texture, it visually blends in pretty well as well.
We got Ronnie says, looks great, Sally. Hairbrain's looking great, Sally. And then Daniel,
Thank
looks
you,
amazing.
Ronnie.
And then Daniel says, looks amazing.
Thank you.
And then Rita says, love this. So many styling opportunities with this cut.
So many things you can do as well for a client that can really tuck it behind the ear and stuff. I'm going to be back soon on Hairbrained. I actually work with an amazing software company and booking system called Aura Salon Software. So I'm going to be back on Hairbrained, doing something with them soon. But if any of you are interested in looking at a new company for your online booking, that's what we actually use in the school as well, is Aura software. And it's super amazing. I can't wait. Our students are about to go into taking their first clients, and I want to teach them, the modern way of doing business. And that is all online booking for us, for all of our clients that come into the school. And, letting the students as well figure out how to work with those kinds of systems too.
Hairbrain says, thank you for your time today, Sally.
Thank you very much for having me. That was maybe a sign I've got to get off, right?
we're over our hour.
Okay, everyone. Nearly there.
Daniel said he's going to eat his carbonara. Stay safe.
Okay, thank you.
And that sounds good, actually.
Yes, I'm hungry too. Okay, so I'm just going to put some product in, and we'll do some finishing. But I like how it's coming out, and thank you all very much again for joining us.
We have a question from Manuel Luna. He said, would you have a disconnection line if the client wanted a low skin fade?
I would disconnect the top. This haircut, for example, would look amazing with a skin fade like down here, like underneath, and then add a disconnection over the top. Absolutely, I love that look on anyone, doesn't matter. To me, haircutting is not really male or female anymore. It's about the individual, so yes, 100%. Just putting some product in here, working it in, Again, I never care what it looks like right now, then I'm just going to use my fingers to put it in how I want it. So you can see I can style it in lots of different ways. Just using your hands, getting in there, using your fingers just to kind of rub that hair to get some texture in there. Can I take this off? All right, so there you go. All right, so just stand up for me and I'll style it with you. Stood up is easy. Just stand here for me. There you go.
Just do the stand.
So all I'm doing is using a little bit of a finishing product, getting some texture in there with my fingers. So we'll do a recap. You can see in this back area I have a lot of different textures in there, and this is because I've put 3 panels of layering in there, 3 panels of disconnection. This first panel underneath here, you can see is short to long. Then I put my next panel over the top, and then I put that triangle over the top. Lots of different opportunities to style it in different ways. It can work both sides.
Michael Lane says it looks awesome.
Thank you, Michael Lane.
Hey, Michael.
Wish you were here. Okay, so that's us. My name is Sally Rogerson, and I have a company called SR Education, and we're here also at the SR Academy. And thank you so much to Hairbrain for allowing us to come on and cut hair. I hope you all enjoyed it. Thank you for joining us. If you're watching it afterwards as well, then I hope you enjoy it. And if you are interested in any classes or have any questions for us, we do teach a cosmetology program, a 6-week program, and also 2-day advanced classes. You can DM us anytime or go over to @SallyRogerson on Instagram to see a bit more of what we do. But thank you all so much. Have a great day, and bye. Thank you so much.